your instructor, Teresa Pelkie. Welcome to our class.
In a website that uses frames, the window is subdivided into at least two other windows. Here we have the example from tutorial 8, and although it may not be apparent initially by looking at it, the giveaway can be the scroll bar on the right-hand side. So here we actually have a smaller window up top, a window on the left, and a window on the right. Another giveaway is if you right-click, you will generally see a menu specifically to the frame. So the word frame is actually synonymous to another window. By default, the web page exists only in the main window. And what we are doing, we are putting additional windows inside the main window. So if you look at my right-click menu here, you will see I have a view page source, which is the source code for the home page. Should I wish to look at the individual frame code, I can do it via the right-click. So let me right-click up here, and it gives you a better idea of how we can actually bookmark and print. Frames were introduced in probably 1996, and they presented a lot of difficulties for people. It took a while for the browser to print them correctly, to navigate to bookmarks. Therefore, they gained a bad reputation from the beginning and have not been that popularly used. So let's take a look at the web page code here. And this is the source code for our home page. And here we see that the actual frame code is inserted in between the head section and the body section. If you notice, the body section is enclosed by a no frames tag, and this was done for the earlier browsers that could not support frames. If they could not understand this frame code, then they would read what was inside the body tag. You will still see people coding inside the body tag using the no frames tag for search engines. Search engines have a very difficult time understanding frame code. So the frame set tag subdivides our page into rows or columns. So our first subdivision is into rows. The frame tag tells the browser which file is loaded into that row. So here we have a row that is 85 pixels high, and into it we are loading this file. Our next row is an asterisk, which means it will be as big as it needs to be. And in this row, we are actually inserting another frame set, which is putting us into columns. So here we have two columns. The column on the left, we know how wide it needs to be. The frame code will put this file into it. The column on the right is as big as we need it to be, based on the monitor resolution or the browser. And here we will insert this file. So what we have here with this home page is essentially our index page being subdivided into 3 frames, each frame loading an HTML file. So we would actually be developing these other HTML files like we would normally develop a web page, and we would be calling them from within the frame set and frame tags and placing them in here. And here's our first row, and usually rows, you know how high it needs to be. Here's our second row, which is subdivided into 2 columns, and usually with a column you know how wide it needs to be. So let's go back and look at what we have here. So this is frames. Now generally you would have, as here we have this, our top frame does not move, obviously, it stays there. Our navigation does not move, but when we click, our right moves. So the trick to frames is that we need to target our links to open up into this frame or window. And when we looked at targeting back in tutorial 2, I talked about it's really reserved for frames. So in our initial frame code here, every frame tag has a name. So we are naming the windows. And then if I were to look at my source code for this frame, I would see that I am targeting my links into the window called Pages. So the frame set, the frame tag, and this concept of targeting are the basic dynamics behind frames. There are other HTML attributes that allow you to modify the look and feel, and of course you can use style sheets. So here we have our web page. Now in this tutorial, what they're doing, when I click on the Tours link, I'm actually replacing this menu with another file. So it's giving us, it makes it look like JavaScript, it's really not. And here we have staff. And now we're going into another frame set, so I need to click back to the home page. Iframes, inline frames, on the other hand, this is an inline frame that's actually inside this frame window. And an inline frame allows us to put a window inside a normal web page. So if I were to look at this source code for this frame, here we see it is a normal web page. There is a body tag, and here's our iframe. Okay, so an iframe is actually another window that allows us to call a file. In this case, it's calling a graphic, although you can call HTML pages, which is generally what you do. And the nice thing about frames is that iframes is that we can give it a name, and then in another, either an area tag or an A tag, we can actually target that link into this iframe. So for an iframe, you need to give it a width and a height so the browser knows how big it should be. So in this example, what we have is this picture is loaded into an iframe, and this is the image map. When I click on the different areas of the image map, I'm actually targeting a link, which is a graphic, into this iframe here. So iframes, I think, are a very nice technology. Here again, they were never that well supported due to browser differences. Frames are not supported in HTML5, although iframes are. And one place where you will actually see iframes being used right now is in YouTube. So I need to go to YouTube real fast, and I'm just going to click on the first thing I come to, and I'm not going to play that. And if I try to share this and I go down to looking at the embed code, lo and behold, there is our iframe. And here we have the width and the height, and there is the source attribute, which is used to bring in this YouTube video. You can copy this code, paste it into your document, and the iframe will bring in that video for you. Southland Collie Rescue, which is collie.org, is the only other website that I know that still uses frames. And here again, you can see this one window is sliding around. And here's their navigation. And when I click the links, I see they open into this window. Another website that we are all familiar with, although you may never realize it, is laid out in frames, is our Blackboard site. And here we see the navigation bar does not extend all the way up. On the left-hand side, my navigation section stays the same. And I click a link and it opens to the window on the right. This is frames. And as I said before, HTML5 does not support frames. It will be interesting to see what Blackboard does in the future. So, I have given you an overview of frames. The actual syntax and more information is found in the handout.